With me today is Don Pardue. He's one of the co-founders of the Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Association. And Don, you have been together, for 30 years?
It'll be 30 years this November the 11th, 1981.
1981. Yes. Who were your co-founders along with you?
There was Don Plunkett, Mike Turner, and Joe Harrison. So there were about four of us in the very beginning. We all did know each other, and I just made a phone call that particular day to these individuals, and they said, "Let's, if you can, let's try to have a drink."
At Penrod's.
At Penrod's
Yeah.
pub.
Bob Penrod.
It was Bob. Yes,
was
you
Bob
did remember it.
I do remember.
Yes, and it was very close to my where my office was, and we all rendezvoused about 5 o'clock, 1700 to you civilians. Anyway, the thought, Hugh, at that point was a bit of a fluke. And all I was really trying to accomplish was to salute each other. As you recall, nobody really cared about what we had done a third of a century, or in this case, at least 20 years ago, depending on when you want to start the war. So we decided to toast one another, since no one else was going to do that. And that was really the genesis of what we have today.
Right. Now, what has that meeting led to today?
Well, in those formative years, in the early 80s, we met once a year on Veterans Day, November the 11th, and we picked up a few more people each year, a few more and a few more, until finally, in 1987, we had a dozen or two. And one or two of the guys that was in that beginning lot said, "Why don't we do something more than just have a bunch of cocktails and salute each other?" And the group said, "You know what? That's a hell of an idea. Why don't we do that?" And the notion then became, we're pretty lucky. And we left a lot of men over there, all of us, or we knew of friends that died. Most of us that were commanders had our own folks that used to work for us in our units. And so we decided to do two things. To try to memorialize the real heroes, because it wasn't us. We were still here enjoying a cocktail.
Right.
And we came up, Hugh, with something that, this is a brochure, a program that we
were there.
We designed. You were there not too long ago.
Absolutely. Private Brit.
Yes, Private Brit, Marine. I'd like to read, if I may, what we put in every program every year, and that was part of this genesis back in the 80s. And if I may, the purpose of this organization is to promote patriotism and sponsor activities of patriotic nature among the business community, to recognize those who served and honor those who gave their lives in the Vietnam War, to promote the positive image of the Vietnam veteran, their dependents, their widows, and the orphans of the deceased Vietnam veterans. And in closing, we have at the bottom of this, Hugh, a saying that still holds true and always will. All gave some gave all. And in any event, Hugh, so that gets us up to the late 80s with our first memorial.
How many have you done now?
We just completed, which you were kind enough to come out and do some filming for us, the 25th plaque in the greater metro area.
In a great new facility.
Great new facility. In the beginning, it was very hard to find recipients that qualified. And most of the folks that come to visit or attendees at our services don't know that not only does the individual that we are honoring that day, that year, not only did he die heroically for his country, for freedom, but he had to also have good behavior before he came into the service.
I see.
Now, some of us small unit commanders did have some troops that maybe were very highly decorated, were deceased, but they had a little misbehaving, perhaps, unlike myself, of course. So those two things, and then getting the next of kin, the spouse, the wife, the children, the brothers, the sisters, the uncles, to give us their blessing to honor their next of kin. And I got to tell you, Hugh, there have been times, and it has happened to me, that I have called the mom. And the mom knew of me, and she started crying. The dad of the deceased picked up the phone and he said, "Don, I know this is honorable."
Well, we can't do it. I know. It's too much.
It's just for those that have the courage to trust us. Mm-hmm. When we bring this circle all the way back up to the top, the family has a fixed, physical, majestic place that they can visit for the rest of their lives.
Full closure.
Full closure.
Right. Full closure. Like we saw at the Georgia Veterans Memorial in Rockdale County.
Yes.
We saw that. We saw that with you all putting up the new plaque there, and Barney Burnham talking about what a great man he is. I had an opportunity to interview him also.
Yes, I do recall that.
Well, I will tell you that if you're in the Atlanta area, you need to look into, and you served in Vietnam, and you're a businessman, you need to look into the Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Association, and we will put the website and information on this video so that you, if you're here, have an opportunity to go to Don's group. I've been there, and I did my first video there with Major General James Livingston, and that's how I got interested in this whole Congressional Medal of Honor that you're seeing in the special that we're doing on the Statue of Liberty. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.